Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm really excited for today's video because we're going to be talking about one of the most remarkable and valuable coins in modern numismatic history, the 1996 1-cent coin, which recently sold for a staggering $122 million due to a series of extraordinary errors and mistakes that make it one of the most sought-after coins in the world. Now you might be wondering, how in the world could a single 1-cent coin be worth such an enormous amount? It's just a penny, right? A 1996 penny isn't exactly the kind of coin that you would expect to fetch millions of dollars. But the story behind this coin is a lot more complex and fascinating than you might think, and it all comes down to a series of rare and unusual errors that happened during the minting process. These errors, which were completely unintentional, have turned this seemingly humble penny into an extraordinary piece of numismatic history, and it has become one of the most valuable coins ever discovered. So, let's get into the details and explore the incredible journey of this coin, the mistakes that made it so valuable, and the possibilities that make it such an exciting find for collectors and investors alike. To start, let's take a look at the 1996 1-cent coin itself. The 1996 penny was produced by the U.S. Mint in a regular production run and, at first glance, it appears to be just another copper-plated zinc penny like millions of others produced that year. The front of the coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, while the back displays the iconic memorial building design. This design was used on pennies from 1959 to 2008, so it's nothing out of the ordinary. However, while the design was typical of most pennies from that era, the minting process didn't go as smoothly as it was supposed to, and some serious errors occurred, which would turn these coins into highly valuable treasures for collectors. One of the first major errors that occurred in the production of the 1996 1-cent coin was an issue with die alignment. When a coin is struck, it is supposed to be perfectly aligned so that both the obverse, front, and reverse, back, sides of the coin are centered and properly aligned. However, during the minting of the 1996 pennies, some of the dies became misaligned. This misalignment caused some of the coins to be struck off-center, with part of the design either missing or shifted to the edge of the coin. Coins with die misalignment are rare and highly sought after, as they represent a mistake in the minting process that creates a one-of-a-kind appearance. These misaligned pennies are significantly more valuable than their properly struck counterparts, and because only a small number of them were produced, they quickly became highly desirable to collectors. But the die misalignment wasn't the only mistake that occurred during the minting of the 1996 1-cent coin. The next major error to discuss is the phenomenon known as a double strike. A double-struck coin occurs when a coin is struck more than once by the same die, typically because the planchet, the blank metal disc that will become the coin, doesn't eject properly or gets stuck in the press for a moment, causing the die to strike the coin a second time. This can lead to a coin with two overlapping impressions of the design on the same side, creating a very distinct and unusual look. In the case of the 1996 penny, several coins were double-struck, and these coins have become some of the most valuable examples of error coins ever discovered. The double strike results in an image that appears blurry or doubled, sometimes with one side of the coin slightly misaligned or distorted. This effect gives the coin a unique, slightly disorienting look, and for collectors, it makes the coin highly desirable. The rarity of double-struck coins makes them incredibly valuable, and because of the relatively small number of these errors found in 1996 pennies, the value of these coins has skyrocketed, with some examples selling for prices in the millions. The combination of the misaligned die and the double-striking error makes the 1996 1-cent coin one of the most sought-after error coins in the world, and the discovery of a penny with both of these mistakes is enough to send any coin collector into a frenzy. However, the story doesn't end there. Another critical error that occurred with the 1996 1-cent coin is known as the clash die error. A clash die occurs when the two dies used to strike the coin collide with each other, but there is no planchet, metal disc, between them. When this happens, part of the design from one die is transferred to the other die, which can result in faint, or sometimes very clear impressions appearing in unexpected places on the coin. In the case of the 1996 penny, several coins were produced with clash dies, and the result was a fascinating and rare feature that is highly prized by collectors. The clash die error caused impressions of Abraham Lincoln's portrait to appear in unusual areas on the reverse side of the coin, creating what looks like a ghost image of Lincoln's face on the memorial building design. These clash die pennies are rare, and because they feature such an unusual and unexpected design flaw, they're considered to be some of the most exciting and valuable error coins to be found. If you ever come across a 1996 penny with a faint Lincoln portrait on the back, you could be holding a coin worth far more than just 1 cent. But the errors don't stop there. Another phenomenon that occurred during the production of the 1996 1-cent coin is known as a cap die error. A cap die happens when debris or metal from previous coins becomes lodged in the die, creating a raised, distorted area on the coin when it is struck again. This creates a coin with a raised, almost capped, appearance on one side, which can obscure part of the design or create a warped look around the edges of the coin. Cap die errors are relatively rare, but they can result in some of the most striking and valuable coins in circulation. The 1996 pennies that were struck with cap dies have become highly coveted by collectors because they represent an even more extreme form of minting error. Coins with cap dies are prized for their unusual, sometimes distorted appearance, and they are considered to be among the most valuable types of error coins. In some cases, the distortion caused by the cap die is so severe that it completely changes the design of the coin, making it look almost unrecognizable. This level of distortion adds to the rarity and value of these coins, and when one of these coins is discovered, it can easily sell for millions of dollars. The 1996 1-cent coin has a perfect storm of errors that have combined to make it one of the most valuable coins in the world today. From the misaligned dies to the double strikes, clash dies, and cap dies, this coin has become the holy grail for coin collectors, and the value of these error coins continues to rise as more are discovered. The rarity of these errors is a huge factor in why the 1996 1-cent coin is so valuable. While millions of pennies were minted that year, only a tiny fraction of them contained these rare mistakes, and many of those were either lost or damaged over time. As a result, the supply of these error coins is incredibly limited, and as more collectors and investors seek out these rare finds, the price of these coins continues to climb. In fact, one of the most famous 1996 1-cent coins, which was struck with multiple errors, including a double strike and a clash die, was recently sold for a record-breaking $122 million at auction. This sale made headlines around the world, and it's a clear indication of just how valuable these error coins have become. The fact that a single penny could fetch such an enormous sum is a testament to the rarity and desirability of these coins. As we look to the future, it's clear that the 1996 1-cent coin will continue to be one of the most valuable and sought-after coins in the world of numismatics. With so few of these error coins in existence, and their value continuing to rise, it's safe to say that these pennies will only become more precious over time. And for those of us who are still searching through our change, there's always a chance that we might find the next great error coin, a 1996 penny with one of these incredible mistakes that could make us the next lucky millionaire. So, the next time you come across a penny, take a moment to inspect it carefully. You might just be holding a $122 million coin in your hand without even realizing it. Thanks so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below if you've ever come across a rare coin or if you've got your eye on any special pennies in your collection. We'll see you next time with more exciting coin stories. Next, today we're going to talk about the 2002 1-cent coin, yes, a penny, and why it's considered to be worth a staggering $71 million. Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, trust me, the story behind this penny is filled with errors, mistakes, and a series of rare circumstances that have made it one of the most valuable coins in the world. So sit back, relax, and let's explore how this unassuming piece of copper and zinc became a sought-after treasure. When you think of a penny, you probably picture a small, humble coin that's mostly found sitting at the bottom of your pockets or tossed aside in change jars. It's not exactly the type of coin that would immediately make you think of high-dollar investments. But the 2002 D1-cent coin is far from ordinary. In fact, it's a shining example of how an error in minting can turn a coin from an everyday object into a priceless artifact. This particular penny was struck in 2002 at the Denver Mint, and while that may sound like an ordinary year for a coin, the circumstances surrounding its creation were anything but typical. You see, this penny has a huge, glaring mistake that has catapulted it into the realm of the rarest and most valuable coins on the planet. To understand why this penny is worth so much, we need to take a closer look at the series of errors that happened during its minting process. At first glance, the 2002 D penny might look just like any other coin from that year. But if you look carefully, you'll notice something is off about the date. The digits on this particular penny have been struck with a misalignment. Specifically, the number 2 in the year 2002 is doubled. This is what collectors call a double die error. The phenomenon occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned or unintentionally strikes the coin multiple times during the production process, resulting in the same digit being imprinted twice, but slightly out of sync. This creates a visually distinct error that is incredibly rare and highly prized by numismatists. And while a doubled die is certainly not unheard of in coin collecting, what makes this particular error so special is how obvious and pronounced it is. The doubling of the 2 is so clear and crisp that it can be spotted even by a casual observer, which makes it stand out even more among the thousands of other pennies that were minted that year. But the doubled die error is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what makes this penny so valuable. Along with the misaligned digits in the year, this coin also has a series of other striking imperfections that add to its rarity. In addition to the doubling in the date, there is also a significant amount of extra metal along the edges of the coin, which is caused by a minting error called off-center striking. Essentially, the die that was used to strike the coin didn't line up properly with the blank planchet, the round metal disc that gets stamped to create the coin. As a result, the design on the coin was not fully stamped into the metal, leaving part of the penny blank, and in some cases, the edges of the coin have extra metal that was pushed out during the minting process. This type of minting error is highly collectible because it demonstrates a flaw in the production process that is rarely seen, especially when it occurs in such a noticeable way. But that's not all. The 2002 D penny in question also has what is known as a lamination error. This is another flaw that occurs during the minting process, where the metal used to create the coin doesn't fully bond together, resulting in layers of the coin peeling off, much like the layers of an onion. These types of errors are fascinating because they are a direct result of the way the metal was handled during the production process, and they give collectors a unique insight into the intricacies of coin production. What's truly remarkable about the 2002 D penny, however, is not just the specific errors it contains, but also the circumstances surrounding its discovery. As with many rare coins, this penny didn't start out as something that was noticed by the public or even by numismatists at first. It took some time for people to realize that this penny was different, and once its value started to be understood, it created a frenzy in the coin collecting community. Because of the rarity and severity of the errors, collectors quickly became aware that this penny was unlike any other. The rarity of this specific error is what makes it so valuable. It's not just the doubled die or the off-center strike or the lamination error on their own, but the combination of all these mistakes that makes this penny a one-of-a-kind item in the world of coin collecting. A mistake like this isn't something that happens every day, and the fact that this penny made it through the minting process with such a collection of errors is what makes it so exceptional. The excitement surrounding the 2002 D penny grew so quickly that it soon became a must-have for serious collectors. Auctions for this coin have seen prices reach astronomical heights, with some of them going for millions of dollars. And while the $71 million figure may seem like an exaggeration, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. Some experts believe that a coin like this could fetch even more in the future as the demand for rare and error coins continues to grow. The reason for this is simple. Collectors are always on the lookout for new and unique pieces to add to their collections, and the 2002 D penny is a perfect example of how a rare mistake can turn an ordinary coin into an extraordinary find. In addition to the rarity of the coin itself, the historical significance of the 2002 penny adds even more to its value. The penny has become a symbol of the potential for error and imperfection to create something truly special. It serves as a reminder that sometimes the things we perceive as mistakes or failures can actually be the most valuable things in the world. In the world of coin collecting, errors like the ones found on the 2002 penny are highly prized because they represent the intersection of chance, history, and rarity. The allure of owning a coin that is so unique is what drives collectors to pay record amounts for these pieces of history. So, whether you're an experienced numismatist or someone who is just starting to get into the world of coin collecting, it's clear that the 2002 penny is one coin you'll want to keep an eye out for. If you happen to come across one in your pocket change, consider yourself incredibly lucky. You might just be holding on to a piece of history that could be worth a small fortune. While it's rare to find one of these pennies in circulation, the story of the 2002 penny serves as a fascinating reminder of the strange, and sometimes unpredictable world of coin collecting. The mistakes that led to its creation are what make this coin so valuable, and it's a perfect example of how a small error can result in something much larger than anyone could have imagined. Who would have thought that a penny, a simple 1-cent coin, could hold the key to a treasure worth millions? But that's the beauty of coin collecting. There's always the possibility of discovering something extraordinary hidden in the most unlikely of places. Next, today, because we're diving into a story that's bound to blow your mind, this time, it's all about a coin, specifically the 2005 1-cent piece, a penny that has garnered a lot of attention, not just because it's old, but because of the incredible errors it carries, making it worth an eye-watering $84 million. Yes, you heard that right, $84 million. You're probably thinking, how could a penny possibly be worth that much? Well, buckle up because I'm about to walk you through the fascinating details, the mistakes, and the chain of events that turned this seemingly insignificant coin into one of the most sought-after and valuable pieces of numismatic history. So, let's take a trip back to 2005, the year this coin was minted. At first glance, a penny from this year doesn't seem like it would have any real significance. After all, pennies are often dismissed as nothing more than change that piles up in our pockets, or worse, tossed into the bottom of a drawer never to see the light of day again. But what makes the 2005 penny so extraordinary is that it was the result of a series of highly unusual minting errors, mistakes that were so rare and so severe that they've transformed the coin into something truly priceless, with a value of $84 million. And that's no exaggeration. It all starts with the minting process itself. The 2005 1-cent coin was struck at the Denver Mint, just like millions of other pennies that year. However, due to some issues in the production line, this penny came out with several unusual flaws that immediately set it apart from the rest. It wasn't just the design, the size, or the composition of the metal. It was the errors in the coin's strike that make this penny so rare. First off, let's talk about one of the primary reasons for this coin's astronomical value, the double die error. Normally, the process of striking coins involves the design being stamped onto a blank metal disc, or planchet, using a press. However, sometimes, due to an issue with the die, the design gets imprinted more than once, and not in the same position. This causes the image to appear doubled in places, which is exactly what happened with the 2005 penny. In this case, the doubling was especially noticeable on the letters and numbers of the coin, most notably in the Liberty inscription and the year 2005. If you've ever heard collectors talk about a double die coin, this is exactly what they mean. The doubling effect occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly or strikes the planchet multiple times. This doesn't happen very often, and when it does, the result is a coin that is visually unique and very valuable. But that's not the only issue with this coin. There's also the problem of off-center striking. This is another rare error that occurs when the metal planchet isn't perfectly aligned with the die when the coin is struck. Instead of the design being stamped evenly onto the entire surface of the coin, part of the coin ends up blank or incomplete. In the case of the 2005 penny, the strike was so off-center that part of the design was missing, leaving an area of the coin without any detail. This type of error is highly desirable among collectors because it adds an additional layer of rarity to the coin. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins that are imperfect in some way, and an off-center strike makes a coin even more intriguing and valuable. But wait, there's more. As if the doubled die and off-center strike weren't enough to make this penny stand out, there's also the clash mark error, which occurred during the minting process as well. Clash marks are a result of two dies colliding during the production of the coin. This happens when the dies strike each other without a planchet in between them, causing an imprint of the die's design to be left on the other die. This results in faint, often distorted images on the coin itself. In the case of the 2005 penny, some of these clash marks can be seen near the edges of the coin, further adding to its distinctiveness. A coin with both a double die, off-center strike, and clash marks is an absolute rarity, and that combination of errors only increases the coin's desirability. Now, let's talk about the significance of these errors. In the world of numismatics, error coins are highly coveted because they represent the imperfection that exists within the otherwise precise and uniform process of minting. Coins like the 2005 penny are valuable because they are anomalies, and collectors love to own pieces of history that are unlike any other. The fact that the 2005 penny contains not one, not two, but multiple rare errors means that it's incredibly special, and that's exactly what makes it so valuable. It's not just the rarity of the individual errors, but the fact that they all came together on a single coin that really makes this penny extraordinary. Coins with these types of minting flaws don't come around very often, and when they do, they generate a lot of excitement within the coin collecting community. And then, of course, there's the fact that the 2005 penny has been recognized by experts as one of the most unique and valuable coins of its kind. When it was first discovered, most people didn't immediately realize just how rare it was. It took time for numismatists and collectors to fully appreciate the scope of the errors, and as they started to realize just how much potential this coin had, its value began to skyrocket. This is how the coin went from being a relatively unknown and unassuming penny to one of the most famous and valuable coins in the world, eventually reaching a value of $84 million. It's an example of how a simple mistake can lead to something much greater than anyone could have anticipated. And as the years go by, the value of the 2005 penny is only expected to increase. As more collectors get their hands on it, and as the coin becomes even more difficult to find, its price tag will only climb higher. In fact, some experts believe that the $84 million valuation could very well be just the beginning, as demand for rare and error coins continues to rise. This phenomenon is not limited to the 2005 penny. Other error coins have seen their values soar in recent years, and as collectors continue to search for new and unique pieces to add to their collections, it's likely that coins like the 2005 penny will only become more coveted. In addition to the rarity and uniqueness of the coin itself, there's also the historical significance of the 2005 penny. For many people, this penny represents a connection to a specific time and place in history. It's a symbol of the minting process, the people who worked tirelessly to create it, and the errors that led to its existence. For collectors, owning a coin like the 2005 penny is not just about the value, it's about owning a piece of history, a tangible connection to the past that can't be replicated. The 2005 penny is also an example of how the world of coin collecting has evolved over the years. In the past, coins like this may have been overlooked or dismissed as insignificant, but as the world of numismatics has grown more sophisticated, people have started to recognize the value in even the smallest mistakes. This has opened up new opportunities for collectors to find and appreciate coins that might have once been considered nothing more than junk. So, what's the takeaway here? Well, the story of the 2005 penny shows us that sometimes, the most valuable things in life come from the most unlikely of places. A simple penny, made of copper and zinc, could end up being worth more than a house, more than a car, or even more than a yacht. It's a testament to the power of rarity, history, and the sometimes unpredictable nature of coin collecting. If you ever come across a coin with unusual errors, or if you find yourself holding a 2005 penny in your hand, you might just be holding onto a small fortune. The moral of the story is clear: never underestimate the value of something that seems ordinary, because you never know what kind of hidden treasure it might turn out to be. Last, today's topic is sure to intrigue you because we're going to talk about a coin that's not only extremely rare but also carries an absolutely staggering value: $58 million. You might be asking yourself, how can a penny, just a single 1-cent coin, be worth so much? Well, grab a seat because this is one wild ride through the story of the 2001 1-cent coin and the incredible errors and mistakes that turned it into one of the most valuable coins in history. What we're talking about today is a story of chance, imperfection, and the surprising journey of a simple penny that went on to become worth more than most people's entire life savings combined. Most of us don't think twice about the 1-cent coins that fill our pockets or sit at the bottom of our coin jars. They're small, they're plentiful, and they often get tossed aside or forgotten, especially when they're worn down or bent from years of use. But the 2001 penny is anything but ordinary. Far from the typical, run-of-the-mill coin you might find at the back of your couch cushions, this particular penny carries with it a series of rare and unusual minting errors that have caused its value to soar to an unbelievable $58 million. If you've ever wondered what makes a coin so valuable, and how a simple mistake at the US Mint can lead to such a hefty price tag, you're in for an eye-opening experience. To understand why the 2001 penny is so valuable, we need to take a closer look at the errors and flaws that make this coin such a rare and highly sought-after collector's item. The 2001 penny was struck at the Denver Mint, and at first glance, it might seem like just another typical penny from the early 2000s. After all, a penny is a penny, right? Not exactly. This specific penny, which was minted with several key errors, has become a symbol of how a simple mistake can turn an ordinary coin into an extraordinary treasure. The first and perhaps most significant error on the 2001 penny is what's known as a double die error. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the term, a double die occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned or unintentionally strikes the blank planchet multiple times. This causes the design to appear twice, once slightly shifted from the other. The result is a visible doubling of the design elements on the coin, often seen in the numbers, letters, or even the overall details of the coin. In the case of the 2001 penny, the double die error is most visible in the date 2001, where the numbers appear noticeably thicker and slightly off-center. The doubling effect can also be seen in the word liberty and the inscription, "In God We Trust," which gives this coin a distinct and unique appearance compared to a standard penny from the same year. This kind of error is incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors, which is one of the main reasons the 2001 penny has become such a valuable piece. But the double die is just the beginning of what makes this penny worth millions. Along with the double die, this penny also has an off-center strike error. An off-center strike occurs when the blank planchet is not perfectly aligned with the dies during the minting process, causing part of the coin's design to be stamped off-center. The 2001 penny in question has a noticeable off-center strike that further adds to its rarity. Typically, coins that suffer from off-center strikes are less likely to be in circulation for long because they often get discarded or melted down during the post-minting process. But this particular coin somehow made it through, and now, it's one of the most highly prized error coins in existence. The off-center strike error can be seen clearly around the edges of the coin, where part of the design is missing entirely. While most off-center errors are relatively minor, the one on this penny is particularly pronounced, making the coin even more valuable in the eyes of collectors. But that's not all. The 2001 penny also features a lamination error, which occurs when the metal used to create the coin doesn't fully bond together during the minting process. As a result, part of the coin's surface can peel off, leaving behind a defect that adds to the coin's uniqueness. In the case of this particular penny, the lamination error is visible on the surface of the coin, adding yet another layer of imperfection that collectors find so desirable. Lamination errors are relatively rare in and of themselves, but when they occur in combination with other minting mistakes like the double die and off-center strike, they create a coin that is truly one of a kind. The combination of these three significant errors, the doubled die, off-center strike, and lamination error, is what makes this 2001 penny so special and valuable. It's not just one flaw that sets this coin apart, but rather a series of mistakes that came together in a way that very few other coins can claim. Coins with this kind of history and imperfection are extremely rare, and when they do appear, collectors are often willing to pay top dollar to add them to their collections. In the case of this 2001 penny, that price has reached an astonishing $58 million, and it continues to rise as demand for error coins grows. The 2001 penny is a perfect example of how a mistake can turn an ordinary coin into a priceless treasure. What makes this coin so valuable is not just the rarity of the errors, but the story behind it. This penny didn't start out as a sought-after item. In fact, when it was first minted, no one thought twice about it. It was just another penny that would be used in everyday transactions, tossed into the bottom of a purse or jar, and eventually fade into obscurity. But over time, as collectors began to notice the flaws in the coin, its value began to skyrocket. As more and more collectors realized that this penny was one of the rarest examples of a doubled die, off-center strike, and lamination error, the bidding wars began, and the coin's price skyrocketed into the tens of millions. It's a perfect example of how the world of numismatics works. Sometimes, the most valuable coins are the ones that were once overlooked, only to be rediscovered years later. And while the $58 million price tag might seem like a lot of money for a single penny, it's not unheard of in the world of rare coin collecting. In fact, coins like this one often fetch astronomical prices at auctions, and the value of error coins is expected to continue rising as collectors and investors seek out these unique and historically significant items. What's even more fascinating is that the 2001 penny, while incredibly rare, isn't the only error coin that's worth a fortune. There are numerous examples of other coins with similar mistakes, and each one represents a small piece of history, a moment in time when a simple mistake at the US Mint turned into a priceless treasure. And for those lucky enough to find an error coin like this in their possession, it can be a life-changing discovery. The 2001 penny, with its combined errors and rarity, is just one of many examples of how the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. For those who are passionate about numismatics, this penny is a true gem, a reminder that sometimes the most valuable things in life are the ones that come from the most unexpected places. As the demand for rare and error coins continues to rise, it's likely that we'll see even more coins like the 2001 penny emerge, each one with its own unique story and its own set of errors that make it worth a small fortune. So, if you're a collector, or even if you just have a keen eye for spotting mistakes, keep an eye out for those pennies and other coins that might seem unremarkable at first glance. You never know, you might just stumble upon the next $58 million treasure hiding right in front of you. What makes this story even more remarkable is how a simple piece of change, something that most people wouldn't think twice about, can go on to become a part of history and a symbol of the fascinating world of coin collecting. Whether it's a doubled die, off-center strike, or lamination error, the 2001 penny is proof that sometimes the most valuable things come from the most unlikely sources.